I love hosting and having dinner parties, so this weekend I had some friends over for an olive-themed dinner party, and I made olive ravioli, olive focaccia bread, a marinated olive whipped ricotta dip, white cheddar stuffed fried olives, a white bean olive salad, an olive chicken dish, dirty martinis, and for dessert I made olive-shaped matcha cookies and lemon olive oil cake. I got started making my pasta dough and my ravioli filling. I thinned out the pasta dough and then started creating the olive ravioli. I used a oval shaped cookie cutter for the olive shape and then attached on a small circle pit to each of the olives. I set the table and then got started on my focaccia bread, adding a lot of olive oil, letting it rise, and then folding it over, letting it rise again, adding it to a sheet pan with more olive oil and letting it rise one more time. I then got some rosemary from my little garden bed and then added the dimples to the focaccia, oiled the rosemary, and added on some Castelvetrano olives. I gave it another little olive oil drizzle with some flaky salt and cooked that in the oven. I then started assembling the marinated olives, making some crispy shallots and garlic, and then adding in a bunch of goodies and letting the olives sit in that to get nice and flavorful. I made some skewer appetizers with pickled peppers, soppressata, and olives. And then I started stuffing the olives with white cheddar, dunked them in an egg wash and some flour, and then fried them. I would definitely add some breadcrumbs next time, but they still turned out amazing. I whipped up the ricotta and then added on the marinated olives and a little honey drizzle, and then started working on the olive and white bean salad, adding on seasoning, tomatoes and olives, some parsley, pecorino, parmigiano reggiano, and some lemon juice. I made some more olives with a little lemon zest and olive oil, and here is the final product on the appetizers. The focaccia bread turned out so yummy and was such a good bread to dip into the marinated olives and whipped ricotta. And here are the olive ravioli. I then made some dirty martinis and garnished them with some olives, of course. I then got started on our mains. I gave the chicken thighs a good sear and then added onions, tomatoes, olives, some white wine, and chicken broth. I cooked the ravioli and tossed it in some brown butter, and here is the final product for our dinner. Earlier in the day, I got started on our dessert, making the matcha cookie dough. I refrigerated that and then rolled it out and used my oval cookie cutter to cut out the olive shape, and then used the back of a teaspoon to make a little well for the jam. I baked those in the oven and then got some lemons from my lemon tree and started on the lemon olive oil cake, mixing all the wet ingredients and then the dry and adding in milk. I baked that in the oven, then dusted it with powdered sugar, and here is the final product. I love hosting and having dinner parties, so this week I had some friends over for a cheese-themed dinner party, and I made 3 cheese ravioli, a caprese salad, a Parmesan and crispy prosciutto potato chip tower, cream cheese cucumber bites, Caesar salad, and a Parmesan bowl, Parmesan chicken orzo, blue cheese dirty martinis, and for dessert we had strawberry cheesecake and some brie, blue cheese, and blueberries. I got started making my pasta dough and my ravioli filling, and then I got the table all set. I thinned out the pasta dough and then assembled the ravioli, adding the filling, which is ricotta, parmigiano reggiano, and some pecorino cheese. I then started working on the appetizers, making my cream cheese cucumber bites. I used some beet powder for the pink cream cheese, and then I added some Parmesan in a circle to a cookie sheet and baked them in the oven to let them melt together. I let that harden on the back of a bowl for my Caesar salad Parmesan bowls. I browned some breadcrumbs and then assembled my caprese salad, added some olive oil to the cucumber cream cheese bites, and then I assembled my potato chip tower, adding some creme fraiche, Parmesan, and crispy prosciutto. Then I topped it with some black pepper. Here is the final product for our appetizers. And then I stuffed some olives with blue cheese and made our blue cheese dirty martinis. These blue cheese olives were so yummy, I could just snack on those alone. I then dressed the lettuce with some homemade Caesar dressing and then added that to my Parmesan bowls. I topped with some breadcrumbs and some Parmesan, and then I started working on my Parmesan chicken orzo, adding everything to a pan, and then I cooked the ravioli, tossed it in some brown butter with some sage. Then I added some Parmesan to the orzo, some salt and pepper. I added in my cooked asparagus and topped it with some chicken. And then earlier in the day, I started working on the cheesecake. I first started on the graham cracker crust. I pre-baked that in the oven and then got working on the actual cheesecake mixture. I added everything to a bowl and then added in the egg, vanilla, and lemon mixture, folded in some sour cream and added that to the graham cracker crust. I baked it in the oven over a water bath so it steamed and cooked nice and evenly. And then I started working on my homemade strawberry sauce. I let that thicken. And then when we were ready for dessert, I unwrapped the cheesecake, added the strawberry sauce on top, cut up some blue cheese and brie with some blueberries. And here is the final product for our desserts.